Okay, so how to stop overthinking. I got 3 points in this video for you guys, and I hope you guys stick until the end. So the first thing I want to talk about is what is overthinking. Overthinking is when you put your mind into a state where it begins to think about every little small detail that you are subconsciously aware of, but you're not at the same time, because most of the time when we overthink, we don't have control of what's in our minds. So for example, a lot of the times we overthink and we attach ourselves to certain people and their expectations of us. But at the same time, when we're doing that, we're not consciously living in our own heads and thinking about what other things we can implement in order for us to feel better about ourselves, in order for us to feel more secure and more comfortable in our own bodies at those times, during those times. So that's just a simple definition of what it is. I can list many examples, such as you get a bad test mark, or you're in the middle of writing a test and you begin to struggle, you begin to forget everything that you studied. Why? Because mostly, maybe you have ADHD, but I believe that most of the time it's just because of all the anxiety and the overthinking that goes on inside your brain, that makes you forget all these information and all this type of crucial things that you've learned during the preparation of your test. And I'm pretty sure this is really common. Like everyone, has experienced this, even as a student, as an adult. We all tend to overthink. So why do we overthink if we know that it's bad for us and it makes us feel so terrible about ourselves? Well, we have to look back to our childhood, and we really have to dig into what happened to us as a child. Maybe you were someone as a child who was neglected. Maybe your parents didn't take care of you the way you wanted to be taken care of and fulfill your needs as the priority. Maybe your parents didn't care enough for you. Maybe your parents was busy. Maybe, it could be another thing. Like, we can also talk about friendships. Maybe you weren't the main friend as a kid. Maybe you weren't liked as much at school. Maybe there's other factors around it, but you have to be the one to really think back and see if the issues you have right now with overthinking has any correlation or directly relates to what happened to you in your childhood. Like for a lot of people with an anxious attachment or an ignorant attachment, they either have been ignored or turned off by their peers or their friends or their parents as a child, because their needs were never met, or they always felt like the world was against them. Nobody was there to listen to them when they had an expression, or they wanted to say something, when they wanted to put themselves out there and try to acquire that need or that thing that they really wanted for themselves from another person. But yeah, you have to be the one that goes back and think about all these things and see if there's any correlation. But yeah, in general, a lot of people you see with a secure attachment, they work that up. They build that up. They build that self-confidence, which is why when you go and talk to a confident person, when you go and talk to someone who has an amazing type of vibrant energy and who just feels so confident about themselves to the point where you can tell, those people where you feel like you can feel their positive energy and you can feel that a certain person is so secure about themselves. Yeah, those are the type of people that have really done and focused on self-search to the point where they're so clear and they're so truthful about themselves. And another thing about overthinking is that you lie to yourself a lot when you overthink, like your brain isn't honest with yourself, which is, again, this brings me back to my point of really seeing why the reasons are there for your brain to overthink. Like sometimes, let's be honest, our brain thinks about the most unnecessary things. And I kid you not, y'all would actually agree with me, because sometimes you catch your brain doing the most like silliest things and it's like, why is my brain doing this? Yeah, but that's a signal for you to go and think and reclaim and gain control over your thoughts, so you can actually think better. You can gain more clarity in your thoughts, so then you won't think as much about like stuff that's unnecessary. That's also gonna lead to how to stop overthinking. But yeah, it's just more practicing on controlling your mind, whether that's negative thoughts or other type of thoughts that just don't serve you well. It's all about the mind. It's all about finding what is the root cause and finding out your thought patterns and stopping them. But yeah, typically I have one tip that I tell a lot of people when they're overthinking, and it's to say 2 words. I know I might sound crazy saying this, but it's 2 words. All it takes is 2 words, and guess what they are? It's just let them. 2 words. Whenever you're overthinking, just say let them. Whenever your main friend leaves you and you feel a little abandoned and your abandonment issue starts to kick in, just say let them. Like in your mind, of course, just be like, let them. You know? Anytime you're overthinking about anything, about any type of relationship, any friendships, any relationships, or anything in general that makes your brain go completely numb and it fills your head with thoughts, just say let them. And I think a lot of you know what I'm talking about if you've read this book by Mel Robbins. Obviously not sponsored, but I think this is a great book. I just started reading this book. I read around 31 pages, but I think it's great. From what I've read right now, this book talks about how essentially we can change our thought patterns by using the simple 2 words, let them. How we can relax our bodies and our minds by just saying these 2 words, whether out loud or in your head. But I suggest you say it in your head, because it'll be a lot better for you to process. And it also talks about the rule of saying 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is great, I think, as well, because it's such a simple tool. Just like the let them statement, it's such a simple tool, but it works so well with your man. So essentially what 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is this idea that before you do something that you don't want to do, don't think about it. Just do a countdown. Just all it is count to 5 in your head. Just be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anything like that. It's up to you. And watch your mind wander off, and you'll walk somewhere instantly. And you'll get started with your day. Whether that's finishing homework, going to the gym, playing your favorite sport, doing something that you're scared to and you can't convince yourself to, or it's anything else, like just anything that's on your mind and you can't get your mind off of it and you want to do it instantly, just count down from 5. That's all you need to do. And essentially the science behind this is simply just because when we overthink and when we don't feel like we don't want to do something, it's because we're thinking too much. It's because there's too much thoughts and there's too much things blocking our minds. Because it's like, think about it. When you don't want to study, why do you not want to study? You sit in your bed, you think, oh, I don't want to study because, I don't want to spend so much time sitting on a table and writing stuff for 2 hours. I don't know how long it's gonna take. It might take a little more than 5 hours, 6 hours, whatever. But you're giving the opportunity for your brain to think, and that's the issue. Because if you were simply to get up and do it, which is hard, but it's not hard when you apply the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule. All you do is count for 5 again, right? And then boom, you're off. Suddenly, all of a sudden, you got up, you're sitting on your table, and you're about to do homework. It's magic. Trust me. Try it and come back and tell me if it works. But I'm telling you, it worked so well for me. It worked for a lot of other people, according to this book. But it works for me, and I hope it works for you. But yeah, it's just the video. This is just one topic I really wanted to get off my heart, and I really want to talk about. I really want to describe and put out my opinion to the world on overthinking and how I think it impacts us. But yeah, I think I'm done rehabbing for today. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.